Welcome, gentlemen. Great to have you with us.
Thank you.
Jonathan, let me begin with you because I think maybe you have the harder case to make, at least to this skeptic here. Why should I think China is a safe, not necessarily a safe, but a good return place to put my money now?
Well, as you stated, it's pretty easy to be a pessimist. It's a lot harder to be an optimist given the zero COVID policy, geopolitical concerns, and obviously one of the big elephants in the room, and that is the regulatory issues between the SEC and the Chinese government around U.S.-listed Chinese companies. But I think there's some silver lining behind the pessimism, and that's around the fact that we are moving away from a very aggressive zero COVID policy, 14-day lockdown to 7-day lockdown, very localized approach. In addition, in the original COVID outbreak, the Chinese government really did not stimulate the economy very much. So there's a lot of policy room there with low inflation. But I think a key point for the viewership to understand in terms of where we are within the China investment landscape is just how dramatic the unemployment numbers have risen with youth in China around 20%. And given the fact that historically within China, when you do have issues with government stability, it often comes from that crowd. The Chinese government is very inclined to find ways of stimulating the economy and finding jobs for these younger people who are really struggling right now. And we think especially that is going to be oriented around the public markets, not around property investments, with some very interesting policy changes associated with access to southbound investing within Hong Kong, as well as tax deferrals for pension assets. Mm-hmm. So we think that there's actually some interesting trends from this very low point where we are right now.
Very detailed prescription there, or description, I should say, by Jonathan. Mm-hmm. John Rutledge, let me ask you how what Jonathan describes strikes you. It sounds, in a nutshell, and I realize I'm oversimplifying it, that there is a lot of room for China to stimulate, and particularly to stimulate at a target market of young unemployed, whom they might be worried about creating social unrest.
Well, Tyler, in 100 trips to China over the years, I've been mostly a China bull in the sense that every time people say China's going to crash, I say, no, it's going to keep growing. And that's been true until now. But right now, I don't want to own anything in China until at least the end of October. And let me tell you why. October, Mr. Xi Jinping is going to be appointed very probably to his third term as president, which has never been done before since Mao Zedong. And that makes him effectively lifetime leader. Fortunately, he's 66, so that's not that long of a period. But so between now and then, the look is everything for him. He has announced a policy that's called the New Development Concept. New Development Concept is what Kevin Rudd, former PM of Australia, called pivot to the state, which means that all direction for the economy for now is going to come out of Beijing. He has criticized CEOs of service companies, tech companies, for being not patriotic. He has denied credit to 3 of them in the last week. So the service companies are being shunted aside in favor of the industrial companies that he controls more tightly. This week we'll have a GDP number. It's going to be the first negative number since the first quarter of COVID, and the second one in modern Chinese history. We have a Shanghai lockdown over the last 2 months that took Chinese growth rates for the year from 8.5 down to 4. And so what's happening there right now? COVID numbers over the last several days have popped up again. Now, they're tiny by Western standards. Yeah. But Xi has his entire reputation resting on the zero COVID policy. And zero COVID means shut it down. So today there are 11 cities shut down. That's 114 million people. Yep. And it's the heartland of China's industry.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.